Good evening, VV Nation. My name is Ryan and welcome to the channel. Now, in tonight's presentation, we are going to be talking all things Nvidia. Now, Nvidia, I love the company. I love their chips. I'm a huge trader of semiconductor companies, just to be upfront with you. And I do love this company as a whole. Now, I've been timid on, resizing my position in Nvidia or any semiconductors right now, just with geopolitical conflicts going on in the world and some tensions between the US and China right now. That being said, in tonight's presentation, I do see Nvidia up pre-market almost $9 right now. There's some good news coming out on the stock, so we're going to actually take a look at those headlines. We're going to dive into the VectorVest 7 system, look at the indicators, and see what the proprietary power of the VectorVest 7 system is trying to tell us about Nvidia itself. And in addition to that, we are going to jump over to the graphs and we're going to break down Nvidia's chart. Now, if this is something that you're interested in, stick around and let's go ahead and get this thing started. Now, before we jump into the news articles that came out today that I mentioned earlier, I do just want to break down Nvidia and their competition. So right behind me, I do have the article up, Nvidia versus AMD and Intel. Now, Intel was the big behemoth in this space. So let me show you this chart that I find very interesting, and you can actually see the growth in Nvidia over the last several years. So if I scroll down real quick, we have the data center revenue here. This is huge when it comes to the AI space, for data centers are reliant on the new GPU technology to process large amounts of data. So back in 2021, you can see Nvidia just had $2.4 billion in revenue when it came to data centers. AMD, less than $1 billion at 0.8. And like I said, Intel was the big player at 5.7 billion. However, if we scroll down here, you can see Nvidia's revenue growing astronomically. Now, AMD did grow. However, it kind of stalled out the last few quarters here. You can see it peaked out at 1.7 billion. However, it's pulled back down to 1.3 billion. Now, since 2021, when revenue was at $5.7 billion. You can see that peaked back at $6.7 billion in Q4 of 2021. However, you can see a common theme here that Intel is losing a lot of market share right now, ending at Q2 of 2023 at just $4 billion even, while AMD came in at $1.3 billion. However, look at Nvidia here. $10.3 billion. Their revenue from data centers quadrupled since 2021. Now, this performance has caused this company to reach levels of almost monopoly status. Now, the other thing I did want to show you in this article here, you can see that Nvidia is estimated to have more than 70% of the market share for AI chips. So you can see why there's a lot of hype and a lot of investor confidence when it comes to Nvidia itself. So now let's jump over to the news stories that occurred this morning. Now, like I mentioned a moment ago in this video, Nvidia has had great news coming out this morning where at least investors are feeling the hype. Now, the stock is trading up almost $10 pre-market. The market just opened a few minutes ago. Looks like it's holding its gains as of right now. So there's a couple articles I do want to show you here. You can see the title here, Nvidia plans to release 3 new chips for China. Now, if we take a look at the next article here, Nvidia develops AI chips for China in latest bid to avoid US rules. And here's the next one. Nvidia on reports it will unveil new AI chips for China following export restrictions. Now, you'd have to be sleeping under a rock not to realize that the US and the Chinese government are currently at a trade war and have been for the past several years. Now, there have been restrictions in place to severely cut AI technology to getting into the hands of the Chinese government. This in large part is for national security reasons. So recently, the United States did ban several AI chips. However, Nvidia, being very creative as they are and trying to be a thriving business, has came with 3 new chips. So if I scroll down here, we can see the Financial Times reported that Nvidia may announce the release of the new chips called the HGX H20, the L20 PCLE, and the L2 PCLE as early as next week. Now, this is huge for Nvidia itself because they were going to lose a lot of market share in the AI space when it comes to the Chinese market. So I think the news coming out this morning puts a lot of confidence in investors and reassurance that Nvidia will still thrive and at a time of economic and geopolitical tension. So now let's jump over to the VectorVest 7 software and see what the power of the VectorVest 7 system is going to tell us. All right, right behind me, I do have Nvidia up, so let's break it down in accordance to the VectorVest 7 system. You can see here it's up today 2.4%. It's now up just over $11. Seems like every time I get further into this video, it keeps moving up. From pre-market, it was around $9. We could see it now about 45 minutes into the market open, we're at just over $11. Now we can see price action here at $477. The value right now is at $389. So this company is overvalued and comparison to our metrics. Now, if I scroll down here, RV, RS, and RT, along with VST, these are our proprietary indicators. They're on a 0 to 2 scale. Above 1 is a favorable rating. So right now, if we start with RV and RS, these are our fundamental indicators, giving us a sense of long-term price appreciation and a sense of safety. Now with RV and RS, their respectable scores came in at 1.68 and 1.44. These are some of the best ratings in the database as a whole. Now next on the list, we have RT here. This is our technical indicator looking at the magnitude of the short-term price trend. Right now with a rating at 1.16, we can see that short-term price trend is to the upside currently. However, the magnitude or the momentum of that trend is not that strong. So we do have a buy rating on this position right now. And if we look at the overall master score, the VST coming in at 1.42, and this is also one of the highest ranked stocks in our database. Now, if we take a look here, we do have the CI indicator coming at 1.75. Now, CI is a great indicator if you plan on buying a beaten up stock, because this shows the stock's resilience of price growth persistence and its ability to resist lengthy or severe price declines. Now that being said, the last thing I do want to show you here is the GRT right now. This is the company's ability to grow its earnings represented in percent form. Right now, Nvidia has a phenomenal growth rate in its earnings at 41%. Now let's jump over to the graph and see what the chart is telling us. All right, up on the screen, I do have a chart of Nvidia over the last 6 months. Here you've got the candlesticks representing price action. You have an orange and yellow line representing a 3 and 8 day exponential moving average. The orange line being the 3-day, the yellow line being the 8-day. In addition to that, we do have some support resistance. And I do have some blue lines here. We'll get to that in just a moment. That was representing a head and shoulders pattern that I had noticed before. However, in this, we're going to focus right now on the earnings. This huge gap up here back on May 24th, where price action gapped all the way up to in the 394s. You can see this big gap here. Since then, price action has gone to the upside here. However, you can notice it has been channeling here in the 400s. Now, its last earnings date was back on the 23rd of August. We can see the gap up here. However, that gap up was faded away on that same trading day, with price action the following week trying to claw back those gains from that earnings call. However, that momentum was just faded out. Now, over the last 4 months, we can see that price action did create a head and shoulders candlestick pattern. You can see the head right here, represented around 502 as the high. The shoulders coming in, we do have a touch over here and another touch over here. That price action came in around 475. Now the neckline did come in at 405. If we zoom into just a 3-month time span here, we could see a lot of buying pressure coming in right at that level, actually creating another level support here. We have 2 touches. We have 1 touch here and another touch here back on August 14th. Creating a nice level of support for Nvidia. So I know a lot of investors were afraid that if price action did seep into the 300s, that price would be tempted to fill that gap, getting down into the low 300s. However, the exact opposite has occurred. We can see as soon as price action was approaching that neckline here, a lot of buying pressure, a nice bullish candlestick follow through the next day. And on the following day, we did get the 3-day exponential moving average confirmed above that 8-day exponential moving average. However, look at price action right now. It is touching this level of resistance here where the shoulders were at. In addition to that, price action did form an actual resistance zone at the 478 level. So that being said, with price action sitting at this level of resistance right now, if I'm not a current holder of Nvidia itself, and as of right now, I'd like to see price action break above this resistance level to get confirmation to the upside if I'm going to load up on any more Nvidia. Now that being said, from a short-term trader's aspect here, over the last 2 weeks, we do see price action from $400 now at $475. So a huge movement to the upside. So a lot of technical indicators right now are in overbought territory. And I would expect a healthy pullback to occur in the near future if we don't get this breakthrough within the next trading day or two. So on the last graph I showed you, we focused on price action, head and shoulders, and some other technical indicators. On this one, we're just going to focus on VectorVest proprietary indicators. That being said, the first thing we're going to talk about is the stop price here. This is how we calculate our sell recommendation. You can see price action here, nice lower left to upper right movement over the last 12 months. Our stop price has done a great job keeping customers and investors in this position with no sell rating in sight here over the last 12 months, nothing but holds and buys. In addition, another thing that I really like about this position right now, If we look at its value, back earlier in May of this year, the value is only at $37.32. However, since then, you can see the value going up, converging close to price action right now to end at $3.90.39. Now, addition down below, I do have our EPS, our earnings per share. This is 12-month forecasted EPS data. That being said, here around that same time of the value climbing, you can see the earnings per share over the last 5 months on a tear here, with their EPS more than doubling over the last 5 months. Now, the last thing I do want to show you here is the GRT. This is the ability of the company to grow its earnings. Now, back in May of this year, we could see that GRT was actually negative at -1. However, since then, that GRT has been on a roar to the upside right now to close today at 41%. So you can see with the value, the EPS and GRT on an astronomical climb over the last 5 months, you can see why I'm hyped up and a current promoter of the Nvidia company. All right, VV Nation, I hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation on Nvidia. Now, there's a lot of positive things that's going on with this company right now. They have almost a monopoly when it comes to the AI chips. They're dominating the data centers that we saw before compared to AMD or even Intel. In addition to that, when we jump into the VectorVest 7 system, all of the ratings are phenomenal with this company. Now, with price action currently channeling to the side like it has been over the last 4 to 6 months, I do see Nvidia fueling up for another great run. Now, like I said, when I went into the graph and we looked at its price action as of today, it is hitting a level of resistance and the former point of where that shoulder was in the current head and shoulders pattern that we saw over the last few months. Therefore, I'd like to see confirmation to the upside with price action breaking above these resistance levels in order to enter this position. Now, if you're already in Nvidia, I showed you in the second graph that the sell recommendation has not been given when it comes to Nvidia over the last 12 months. So it's done a great job giving customers room to breathe as this company continues to grow. So if you are currently holding Nvidia right now, me personally, I like using the VectorVest sell recommendation. Now, as always, if you enjoyed this presentation, please don't forget the like button and subscribe to our channel. Good night.
Hey, VV Nation. One of the most important books that I've ever read in regards to the stock market was written by our founder, Dr. Bart Delito, the founder of VectorVest. The name of the book is called Stock Strategies and Common Sense. It will give you everything that you need to know about how the market works, the cycles, how to value stocks, and it's very well presented so that you can better understand and get a better understanding of how the market works. Folks, you simply need to go to www.vectorvest.com/YT book to get your free edition of Stock Strategies and Common Sense. Folks, you want to do that right now.